The Psychology of Dance. Hello everyone, welcome to Signpost for Living's Dr. Kirsten Hunter, and we have gorgeous Demitri here. Hello.
Hello.
Now, I was just having a bit of fun with your last name, Demitri Perera.
There you go.
I got it?
Yep, absolutely.
I got it. And it's actually Dr. Demitri. Do you pull out the doctor very often?
Not very often, I don't think.
Do you, planes?
Planes.
Do you ever get an upgrade?
Oh, I do use it, but I don't think it actually, works in my favor at all.
Really?
No.
But if there's anything going down, they'd say, hey, are there any doctors on board?
Yeah, that has happened, yeah.
Yeah. Well, has it?
It has, but thankfully when I got up to where it was, there was already someone else there, so it was fine.
You're like, I'll leave you to it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a doctor too, but I'd be useless on a plane until after the crisis, and then I could do the debriefing.
Absolutely.
So you could do all the medical intervention, and I could hold their hand.
There you go. We'd be a good team.
We would be a good team. So we're not actually talking about the world of medicine, are we?
No.
We could, maybe another time. But today we're talking about dance. What do you think when I said, hey, come along and do a podcast and dance?
Super exciting, because obviously, as you know, this is such a huge part of me.
Yeah.
So I was like, yes, dance, let's do it.
Let's do it. Absolutely. You know what? I don't have a history of dance. When I was young, I don't even remember how old. I was probably 10, 11. I went along, and I think for probably, 8 weeks, went along and did dance classes.
Yep.
And kind of, the classic jazz stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surrounded by all these girls that had been doing it since I was 6.
Yeah.
And they could do the splits, and they could make it all happen. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to stick to netball. and I stepped away from it. And ever since then, which is perfectly fine, ever since then, I love going to see performances.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Every time I travel, that's what we do.
Yep.
We just recently saw a Canadian crowd in Madrid, was it, John? Nodding.
Oh.
Yeah,
Canadian.
Yeah, okay, so everyone, Demitri is Canadian. Let's bring that up. Of course, I don't remember the dance troupe, sorry. But they were amazing.
Yeah.
Let's quickly do a bit of backlog, and then I'll come back to this. So you're from Canada, but we're in Australia.
Yes.
I would say good choice.
Great weather, cool people. I think so, right?
Yes, a few too many mosquitoes at the moment, but
true.
Yeah, but yeah. So you're from Canada. Whereabouts in Canada?
So Vancouver.
I haven't been there. I've only done the East Coast.
You'll have to go back.
I will. You know, I will. Love travel. And how long have you been in Australia?
It's going on 11 years now.
Really?
Yeah, even I can't believe it when I say it, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you feel Australian at all?
I don't think the accent's changed that much yet.
It hasn't.
I don't know, maybe, but but yeah, no, I think I'm starting to become a hybrid. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so back to my story. So when I would go and see all these gorgeous performances, whatever sort it was, I'd always see them up on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd think how utterly exhilarating to be able to have that skill level and to get up there and perform. It must be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So your background, let's talk about types of dance. So
yeah.
Bring us into your world of dance. What age were you when you got into it?
So started dancing probably when I was about 9. And going into ballroom. So... which has sort of 2 different parts to it. There's ballroom that we think of, which is like tailcoats, waltzes, quick steps, those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. But there's also what they call Latin American, which is, more rumbas, cha-chas, sambas, pasodobles, that kind of thing. So you often start off doing both styles, and then people sometimes continue with both, but then they might gravitate towards one more than the other. And so I definitely gravitated more towards the Latin style.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I also don't know anything on this topic, and I'm loving it. I didn't know there were 2. So have we kind of got the more English and then the more Latin?
Yeah, so ballroom as we think of it is actually a more European creation. You know, it was like this thing where you know, people used to go socially dancing, you know, as couples, which used to be the thing in the past, right? There's big ballrooms and you'd go out and you'd dance and,
that would be the opportunity to get together and be with the opposite sex.
Yes. Yeah.
Scandalous.
Break all the rules.
Yeah. Touch them through a glove.
Show a bit of ankle or something, and then people went, "Oh gosh,
shady creature." Yeah, but yeah, okay. So, was that a European English?
Yeah, I think the English are the ones who kind of put it together in its standard form as it is, but they basically took inspiration from different areas where those dances originally came from, and sort of, in a way, made them acceptable and palatable to the English public at the time, right? Yeah.
Wow. So how did the Latin come along?
Yeah, you mean just in general?
Yeah, like how did it go from being like
Yeah.
an English kind of, you know, form that was accepted and sort of standardized to the Latin side?
I think the Latin side actually came around probably in the maybe like 30s, 40s, that sort of time, the 1930s and 40s. And people had gone over to Latin American countries, you know, Cuba, places like that, where they were doing these dances, and they basically obviously were like fascinated by it and wanted to bring it back. And they brought them back, but they obviously sort of toned them down in a different way.
Anglicized them.
Yeah, in a certain way, yeah.
A bit less sexual.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe a little bit less kind of earthy and grungy and all those things that we enjoy now probably about it, you know? But made it something that in their world could actually work, you know? Yeah.
Fantastic. And so was it hard for you to work out which, I mean, what, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to think of how old were you, 9, 10, 11? Getting into the sexual dance of Latin. I'm sorry. Did you get where my brain's going?
I think at that age, at that age, you don't really think about it as that.
Really?
Yeah, I think at that age, it's just dancing, and the fact that you're dancing with someone of the opposite sex, I don't think you really think about it a lot at that age. But it was funny because obviously going through high school and being a ballroom dancer, where, you know, everyone knew that you had a dance partner of the opposite sex, and they'd be like, how do you, like, this is like such a, you know,
extraordinary.
Yeah, that you actually touch someone of the opposite sex and dance, and this is a regular thing that you train, like, you know.
That's so funny. I can relate to that. I remember when we were in high school and they'd have dancing classes and you'd stand there like stiff as a cardboard with the opposite sex going, oh my gosh, I'm going to touch their shoulder. And the men are like, oh, the boys, I go, touch her waist. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. And then you're supposed to have any coordination and clue, and then everyone just burst into giggles and laughter, but it was quite exciting. So I get what you're saying. Absolutely. So did you do both forms for a period?
Yeah, so I think I did both ballroom and Latin until I was about maybe 14 or 15, and then really transitioned more into only Latin.
And okay, so how did you originally come across ballroom? I mean, I think of dance, most people here in Australia will do ballet, jazz, contemporary, not ballroom. So how did that come to be? How did you even know the options?
It's definitely a bit more niche, isn't it, in a way? Today.
Super cool.
Different. You know, I actually fell into it a bit haphazardly in a way.
Don't you love life, eh?
Yeah, because, you know, maybe dance would have been a thing that I would have gravitated towards in some form. Ballroom, I think that came about because we had a family friend whose daughter needed a boy to dance with. And it's, you know, the sad thing about partner dancing at that age is there's always a room full of, you know, 10 girls to one boy.
Oh,
well, maybe that's not a sad thing for
No, that is happy days
for some people, right? But yeah, so she needed a partner, and that's how I got kind of whisked into the ballroom.
And were you on board? Were you thinking, yep, this sounds good? Or were you?
I think I was pretty open to it. Like, I've always loved music and dance and stuff. And so I was like, cool, I'll give this a go. And I actually really liked it, like right from the beginning. There wasn't ever, I don't remember a time where I kind of went, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to, you know, dance with someone, that kind of thing. I was like, oh, this is cool. There's music, we're, you know, moving around, learning stuff. Like, yeah.
Wow. And with the whole getting connected to your body, connected to music, was that something you grew up with, or was that a new world for you? Because I didn't particularly grow up with a lot of music, so it would have been a big, which is sad, right? I think music's so profound, but that was something I discovered on my own later in life. What about you? Did you step into this world? You already had a connection, because you're communicating with your body with music.
Yeah. I think that, I had done music in the sense that I used to play piano, so I was already kind of in music in a way, but I think that wasn't really, I think I would say I probably had an interest or an appreciation for music. I liked music even as a child.
Yeah.
Not in any structured kind of way, just kind of a love listening to music. Always have had a weird kind of, I will listen to music from, random places in the world where I don't understand what they're saying, and the musical style might be totally different, and I'm just like, you know what? Love it. Like, it's just, that's always kind of been me. So then when you throw that in to the ballroom world, where you're like, oh yeah, this is just a different type of music and a dance, and put it together, like, I think, it just kind of fit somehow.
And when did you really work out, yes, not only am I playing with this, but this is me, this is my thing, I'm really on board?
Ooh. I think as I kind of grew with the dance, I think, I was doing probably lots of different activities at the time, and dance was the thing that I felt most kind of grounded and connected to. Yeah,
you related to
it. I felt it was just this emotional kind of connection and release for me as well, which I loved. And so gradually those other things that I was doing, I slowly let go of a little bit, because I wanted to focus more on dance. And
did you go on to do any teaching?
So at the moment now, I do a little bit of teaching and stuff, just to kind of keep that alive for me, because I don't compete or perform really anymore. And I figure that, being in the studio and around people learning and helping out in the studio is like a way to keep that going for me.
That's pretty cool. What's that like?
I love it. I still love it. It's really great to see people kind of obviously just dancing, but even kind of taking on board the things that you're kind of trying to bring out in them, which is a whole process as well, right? Trying to kind of make people feel an expression or feel, a movement that you probably might feel differently to them. And so you have to be able to try and explain to them or show them in a way that it clicks, so that they can not necessarily recreate it, but actually get what you're sort of the gist of what you're trying to teach as well.
I think you'd have to use lots of different approaches there to connect to people.
Yeah. And I think it's very variable depending on the person, because we all learn differently too.
Yeah.
So absolutely. That's like a very fascinating thing that I'm still learning a lot about, Yeah.
I'm always amazed when I chat with, kids who are clients who are doing dancing, the amount of hours per week that they do. You know what I mean? Like, if you do soccer, you have one hour of training, and then you have like an hour of a game, and 2 hours wrapped up for the week, good to go.
Yep.
Dancing. I mean, I've got 5 boys, and none of them do dancing, so I haven't lived this world, but honestly, I'm astounded by the hours. It's kind of dancing and gymnastics on a high level. They seem to, I've got a dance, a class, this day, and sometimes it's up to like 5 hours a week. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm guessing. Yeah. But was it like that for you? And I'm also fascinated by what that means. I don't even know what to think. But on the one hand, I think, oh wow, that's a huge amount of chunk from a child's childhood afternoons. What does it take away from you with time with the family, friends? But on the other, I think you're kind of learning to really put in the time to invest in a skill to get the outcome, and what does that teach you with regard to really applying yourself? So, my brain does a classic Kirsty and explodes into all these areas. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Gosh, I think I absolutely agree. I think that when you do dance in a competitive sort of sphere, the amount of hours that often young people put into it is tremendous. Like, I mean, I think when I was dancing when I was a teenager, and obviously still going to school and doing all of that stuff, I think most days, so I think it was probably about at least 6 days a week that I was training.
Oh my gosh.
And then on those days, at minimum, we would be doing about 2 hours at minimum.
That's a part-time job.
Which, yeah, actually,
Like,
when you say it now.
Seriously, yeah. 12 hours.
Yeah.
That's, wow.
But you know what? There's a few things. I mean, in those moments, you don't necessarily think about it because, you know, after school, you kind of go and you do the dance, and then
And
you go
it's
home.
also the peer normal thing. It's what everyone's doing in that group.
Yeah, and the other thing I think is just because you enjoy it, you don't think about that time as oh, it's 2 hours after school and I have to go to. It's like you're excited to go to dance.
Yeah.
You go there and you actually let out all that stress. Where even now I feel like, you know, after I was done my schooling, I realized, oh, when I don't have dance in my life, right, I don't have that outlet because I'm so used to having it. And I think people have that in different ways, not just dancing. Like, you know, some people might go to the gym, some people might do some other art form, then some people might do something else.
Yeah.
But when that becomes your outlet, you almost crave it. You're like, I'm missing something here without dance. Yeah.
I mean, I hope my beautiful John doesn't mind me mentioning, but he's a swimmer.
Yeah.
And he spent every day swimming, you know. Wasn't it during the day at school? Yeah, I don't know what years of his life, but many, many, many. And he still swims every day now.
Yeah, yeah.
When he can, unless I rip him away. It's like, can we please rip up a garden bed or do something crazy? But yeah, like it is that thing, isn't it?
It becomes a part of you, right? And you sort of, yeah. So it's interesting that I feel like we can't move away from it, you know, even as we get older, go through life. We're kind of like, we still miss that.
It's your thing.
Yeah.
It's your passion.
Yeah, yeah.
So instead of seeing it as like this obligatory time, it's a time you get the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
And actually, as I look back, I was super sporty at school. I always had 3 sports on the go, and I was always in the deep end. And if you put all those hours together, it was actually quite comparable.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and choir and
Yeah.
whatever else. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, here's a really ambitious question. This is probably my favourite question.
Oh, gosh.
What does it feel like? I am never going to be an elite dancer. Okay, I love to boogie. I love music. I love music. I really do. I love to sing. I'm a singer. That's my thing.
Yeah,
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. Yeah.
But so in that way, I relate to music.
Yeah.
But not an elite dancer. So when you're out there and you're on the stage, or you're in front of the people you're performing, and you've put all that work in, it's coming together. What's it like?
Ooh, I've never actually, you know, this is a really interesting question.
Well, this is what I wonder, because honestly, I see all these performances and I look at these people and I see the extraordinary things they're doing that I could never do. And I think, wow, what does that feel like to have that physical capacity and, you know, the skill and all of those hours come together and they're performing, and you can see that there's this energy. You can see that they're, I assume, really enjoying it. What I see is passion.
Yeah.
That's what I see. I see that they're fully present. That's what I see.
I think you've hit it on the head there. It definitely is that passion, that you know, it's almost like you're just living in this moment of creating something, and it's almost hard to explain. But you know, when you have the music and the movement, and in a partner version of dancing where you're actually, you know, communicating with your body with somebody else and creating something, you're in a different zone. You just feel so alive. You feel, you know, all these different emotions. You feel, it's just, it's hard to, it's exhilarating. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great word. Yeah. And it's hard because, you know, when you think about doing a performance as well, it's not just what you're feeling, that is impacting you and other people, but actually the connection with the people that are watching as well. There's an energy there. There's an emotion there that's like reverberating, I think, between you and other people. I think that's just this amazing feeling, you know?
What is it about dance? Right? I mean, no, seriously, you watch people dance and you do, it's mesmerizing.
Yeah.
It's an expression of emotion. There's this passion, there's this fluency, there's this art and beauty. It's really fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think, you know, you don't necessarily need to be someone who's trained in it to feel those things. Because I think, you know, dancing exists across all cultures and across times, you know, from the beginning of time, I think people have been dancing. So I think it's maybe something that as humans, we just have in us. And I'm not sure why, but I think that's why maybe, you know, everyone can kind of look at dance and go, okay, yeah, I feel something there. I can appreciate that.
It's moving the body, it's expression, it's rhythm.
Yeah.
It's music.
Yeah.
And of course, music is that massive, you know, wrong word, but international connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, the whole cultural issue, which we talked about it before we jumped online, but on air, sorry. You know, the different cultural components to dance, that's pretty fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, just like we were saying that there's, in every culture, there is dance. I don't think you can find a culture that doesn't have some sort of dance, and it might have different significance. Maybe in each culture or across times it might be different, but I think it's something that's universal.
And I wonder what you define as dance.
Good question.
I mean, sorry, we're going everywhere. But I was at one of our kids' graduations or something like that, and they have a very kind of multicultural kind of group.
Yep.
And the Aboriginal Indigenous came and they did their dance.
Yep.
And it was so cool.
Yeah.
It was like the students and their community came and they did their dance, and it was all really very kind of grounded, and it was obviously a connection with the earth and a connection with hunting and connection with each other, and it was this sort of like really real beautiful simple not simple but repetitive.
Yeah.
There was it was quite calming.
Yeah.
I think calming would be the word. Anyway, then in came the New Zealand crowd and they did the haka.
Yeah.
Which was suitably terrifying. You know, which was, we are blood curdling warriors and we're gonna, you know, and it was like rah, in your face, and we were like, whoa, far out, and you know that's just across a very small sea.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know if the haka is a dance, but it's culturally something like that.
But see, dance for all purposes, right?
Yeah, what does it mean? It's like, communicating.
Yeah.
But I mean, the contrast when they were back to back, it was just shocking.
Like, well, this is dance and that is dance.
And I'm awake now. I probably don't want to approach you right now. You're scaring me. But yeah, no, it was pretty profound. So the cultural differences, it's really, really. And your family of origins from Sri Lanka. What's the dance like there? I've no idea.
So I think Sri Lanka has a few different forms of dance. Like they've got sort of traditional, what they call Kandyan dancing, and then they've also got some other dance forms that some of the other populations in Sri Lanka also do, like Bharatanatyam. So, you know, and there are dances that are done by men, but also by women. Like it's you know, it's interesting. They can be used ceremonially and for, you know, religio-cultural kind of reasons as well. So there's definitely a component of, I would say, like kind of mystical association maybe with that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Wow, fascinating. And then flipping over the other side of the world, you're from Canada.
Yeah.
And the Canadian Indigenous people,
as well.
I have no idea what their dance is like.
Yeah. So First Nations, and again, like the Canadian First Nations, because they're so varied, just like in Australia, from region to region.
Right.
They all have different sort of dance forms and styles and things like that. But again, very, very, I think, ceremonial and linked to some of these things we were talking about earlier, where, you know, linked to the earth and linked to their connection to land. And their story. Yeah, absolutely. So
Very, very cool.
yeah.
Very cool. And yeah, as you know, beautiful John, he's from Basque, and he showed me different footage of different sort of Basque cultures as well. And, you know, what they do. And I'm so far from being able to talk on this point, but I hear a lot of percussion and a lot of instruments. I don't know what they are.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It's fascinating, hey? Dance across the world. Yeah.
So you mentioned dancing with a partner, and relating to your partner. Did that fit for you, or was there any point where you wanted to be a solo artist? You're liking my questions?
That's a great question. Look, I think, you know, we all go through that phase as a teenager where we think we might be better off alone, maybe.
Yeah, well, self-expression, right?
You know, and yeah, absolutely. But, you know, I think...
because you can't really be a solo ballroom dancer.
Not really.
You could start a new art form.
I think it does look a little bit funny when you try to do ballroom on your own.
You look like you're in a dream sequence.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, is he meant to be dancing with somebody?
Yeah, he's lost someone.
What's going on here? You know, I think that's one of the beauties of partner dancing, though. Is really that you do have to work with another person to create something. I mean, dance is creation in itself. It's moving the body to music, right? And so you incorporate the elements of the music into your movement. But to then be able to take somebody else into that picture and create together, I think that's such a profound and often difficult thing to do.
Well, you must be able to really communicate and refine your movements so that they flow together and you're not on different pages.
Yeah. I think, you know, I think that's the thing, is that dance partnerships also are such an interesting dynamic to think about, because... So
how many marriages have you had?
It's like way too many.
No, it is like a marriage, isn't it?
It is like a marriage.
Darling, I'll see you tomorrow.
It's, I mean, when you think about how much time you spend with this person, I mean, yeah, absolutely. It's like a relationship, you know?
It would be. It would be. It's your needs. It's their needs. It's working out a compromise, because you couldn't have one person have it their way.
Yeah, and it's I think that's, you know, for people that start that at a young age, I think that's one of the benefits of doing it, is that you actually have to learn to compromise with someone as you're growing as well, because you cannot...
Great life skills.
Yeah. Like I think they're transferable, because you can't be successful or get to where you want to go if you're doing a solo act in a partnership.
No.
Right? Like
it's about me. Look at me.
It won't work.
No.
And so you have to find that connection and that balance between you.
Yeah.
Which, I think it's...
Did you ever feel like the female got more attention? I've always wondered that. Do you know what I mean? Like, the men look so handsome in what they're wearing. The females, they often get to wear like lots of flamboyant colours.
They get to wear all the cool stuff, don't they?
I mean, do. Really. They do. Like, yeah, seriously. Did you have envy?
You know, to be fair, I feel like ballroom is very much has a belief that as the man, you are meant to almost show off your partner.
Okay.
You're supposed to frame your partner and create
very
in that
chivalrous
way. Yeah, there's a bit of old school kind of thinking around that, maybe. Which maybe I don't know about in society how we feel about those things now, but in dancing we're very old school, you know. So yeah, like I think it's interesting. So, but I think, you know, in even despite that, I think that both partners can shine. You don't have to.
There's no doubt.
You don't have to outdo your partner or vice versa.
Well, you don't want to, do you? Because you want to complement.
Yeah, that's right. You want to create together. You don't want to, you know.
Did you have any disasters?
Oh.
Oh, the face, everyone. The eyes roll back and the face is like, oh, really?
Kirsten's seeing the brown man blush here. Yes. Look, I think, again, as we were saying, going through life.
I love that look, I think. Yeah.
Is it hot in this room? What's going on here? Going through life as a teenage boy.
Yeah.
Who's still trying to figure stuff out. Look, there were definitely times where compromising wasn't my strong suit, and
because you're doing it wrong.
think I was doing it wrong, probably, if I look back on it. But, you learn from those experiences, right?
No, absolutely. And you're not supposed to have it all figured out.
I think my partners would have wished that I had it figured out, but oh well. Apologies to any of them that are listening right now.
Oh, that's funny. And you didn't have any kind of slapstick situations, who put that banana spit, tragic situations. I was once performing in a choir and I fainted and fell off the back of the stall.
No. Oh, God.
But I was unconscious, and so I did one of those really graceful falls. And didn't break anything because I was unconscious and I was a rag doll.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was a fun time. Anyway, so that would have visually been pretty spectacular. Yeah. Someone just went pop off the back.
Like, someone's just gone. Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, so that would be my moment. How about you?
Look, I think in dancing, when you're on stage or on a dance floor, I think anything can happen. And so I think we've had lots of, elbows to noses, dropped your dance partner.
Oh, sorry, darling. Did you have your busted seams?
It was just like, no, I haven't. But to be fair, I think maybe some of the dance partners have had moments where they've probably had things that were falling off their costume and they had to hold in place. So yeah, definitely, wardrobe malfunctions.
A Janet Jackson moment.
Yeah, not the whole of that moment, but could have been.
Oh,
could have been,
and that would make for great conversation, wouldn't it? Oh, that's gorgeous. I love it. And we're talking about partner dancing. Then there's solo. Then there's group dancing, which I think is really fascinating when you watch group dancing.
Yeah.
This might sound really, really, really mean, but I'm just being honest. I think that the human eye looks at a group and looks for any anomaly.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not proud of this, but I think we look to, is there anyone who's out of step?
Yeah.
Is there anything that's not matching?
Yeah.
The pressure to, when there is a sequenced event, which I know my brain does that, not proud of it, and I think, such a bitch. Like, I can't do any of that. And there I am looking for anything that's wrong.
But isn't that just the way our minds kind of
It is.
work?
It is. Not proud of it. Because they can't be perfect, But isn't it interesting? That must be an incredible pressure when they are doing something in sync to really keep it in sync.
Yeah.
Because the audience is going to see anyone who's out.
Yeah.
So that must be really interesting. Really challenging, sorry.
I think, and to flip that on its head as well, like sometimes we can find a standout in terms of someone who's doing really well in the group as well.
Oh,
so someone who stands
absolutely.
out because you're like, oh, that one's doing a little bit better than everyone else, and I'm gonna keep watching that person. You just gravitate sometimes.
Oh, you know what? I'm really not proud of my brain. Often, I just saw a music theatre performance, and it was a sexual scene, and you know me, I read people inside out, upside down in a moment.
Yeah,
I could tell the virgins on the stage. What I mean by that is the ones that just couldn't get the sexual moves.
Yeah.
They didn't know what it meant to be sensual. They didn't know.
Yeah,
they had the moves down. They were amazing. Again, I couldn't do like 1% of what they did.
Yeah.
But I could just read that.
Didn't feel real.
It didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't. And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. But it's just fascinating how much you can read from the audience.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, just stop. That's just, don't be so judgy.
But I
couldn't help it.
Isn't that just amazing? Because it's like, it's body movements that, we all recognize and have a feeling towards.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not even something about the training or the technique of it.
And
it's like you look at it and you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't look real. I don't believe it.
Yeah, and their performance to my eye was perfect.
Yeah,
I couldn't fault that. Not see, you're looking, but I could. But they just didn't have the sensuality.
The feeling wasn't there.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
it
I
was
think it's fascinating.
Yeah. And whereas others, I'm like, hey, you got that going on. You are really comfortable in that space.
You know what you're talking about here.
Yeah, the dance moves were secondary. Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? I wonder, it must be wonderful to perform with a partner, perform with a group, to have that sense of the group dynamic. It must be an amazing community.
Yeah, because I think you're creating, right, with other people and trying to put something together as a group, and I think that's just, it's really cool. Yeah.
Our beautiful James, who's number 2 of 5, who's now 19, he's been in 6 musicals. He's a beautiful, beautiful singer.
Yeah, right.
He's just too anxious, though, to really kind of pelt it out, you know. But he's awesome. Anyway, I would always dread the last night of the performances, because when you go pick them up behind the backstage, they'll be sobbing and crying.
Oh, no, why is that?
Because they were so sad it was over.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was like, oh my gosh, I've spent all this time and it's finished. And there'd be like, and there'd be a lot of, like this incredible emotion. And you'd be like, oh, sweethearts, it's horrible. But it was a happy sad.
Yeah.
Did you have that? I mean, you were a bit older maybe, but.
I think, sometimes at the end of partnerships or at the end of really big kind of competitions or shows, I feel like you can definitely feel those emotions of like, oh, it's over, and you've worked so hard and put so much into something. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Happy sad.
Yeah.
Happy sad. And before we came in, I just quickly shot at you because I said to you, let's not talk, because let's keep it fresh. But I did shoot something at you and I said state of flow.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. So if for everyone listening, state of flow, for those who don't know, is like the optimal human state. And it means that you're doing an activity where you are extending yourself, so it's a challenge, but it's not too hard so as to not create anxiety, but it's still a challenge. And it's matching your skill set, so it's not too easy, it's not too difficult.
Yeah.
And it's something which is expanding, and there's usually a creativity to it or a meaning to it. And when you're in that state of flow, time disappears.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And afterwards, you'll recount that it was a positive thing, but there's actually not a lot of emotion in it. You're just consumed. Time disappears.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I often think. When people are doing things that they find really passionate, they just get lost in it. They go down that tunnel, that rabbit hole.
Yep.
And I imagine it'd be like that with dance.
Yep. That's amazing, because I think that describes so many moments in my dance life.
Yeah.
Where you lose track of time and space, and you're just in this thing.
State of flow.
Yeah.
That's what it's
State
called.
of flow. There you go.
Yeah,
now I can put a word or a name to it. Yeah. Which because that's happened so many times where you're practicing, let's say for example, or doing something, and you don't realize that you've spent 3 hours, and it's gone. It's just gone because you're in there.
Which means you're doing what you should be doing in life. I don't like the word should, but the optimal state.
Yeah.
How wonderful.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it's often when we're doing something that is creative, or if we're just doing something that has a sense of purpose.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And if you can find a work position where you can be in state of flow.
Oh my gosh, how amazing would that be?
I mean, I have to admit, I'm often in state of flow at work.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
My sessions are an hour long, and I can often get in trouble for time because I get so consumed in that moment.
Yeah.
And I really love the process of working through what's happening, the puzzle.
Yeah.
And I really, my brain loves that. My brain is like this, I can't even put words around it, but it just really enjoys the challenge. I don't like easy. Yeah. I like challenge. And so then time disappears for that too.
Yeah.
Do you find that clinically? I mean, you're a general practitioner.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you do your magic with the general public and helping with jack of many, many trades. Yeah.
I think there are definitely moments that have that. Yeah. I think because it's so variable, right? It's dealing with everything, and there are definitely some moments that are more stressful than state of flow, I would say. But there are definitely moments of that at work as well. Yeah.
Tell you what, to wrap up, we just before we came in here, I got some videos out and of flamenco.
Oh yes.
Because you mentioned that with the ballroom dancing that you would do additional study.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So you when you go to workshops and things like that, often people will teach you techniques that come from other dance styles, right? So, for example, even in competitive Latin, we may use a few techniques that come from ballet, right?
Really?
Like certain spinning techniques or pirouette type techniques. Or, you know, in Paso Doble, which is a dance that we do in the Latin division of ballroom, often the hand movements and the arm movements are based in kind of more traditional Spanish type dances. And so learning those positions with the hands and those kinds of things are things that we would do in workshop. So it's not like I've done a lot of that, but you definitely have to feel the inspiration, I think, from the origins of where those things come from.
Would you study the different dances? Like, is there a meaning in them?
So, like, I mean, those additional dance styles,
Yeah.
I would love to. I mean, that's the thing is if I could go and study all of those additional styles even and put in even more into them, that would be great. But at this stage, it's just little workshop tidbits that I get, you know?
Yeah.
But dance, that's the whole thing is it's such a journey, right? Across different styles and things. You can go forever.
I don't know. Hey, I'm a tourist, but the tango, I often think, is this about making love or killing you?
Aren't they two sides of the same coin?
I think, what does this culturally mean?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah. The passion, I guess, though, right, is like, it could be either way. I don't know, right? But it's passionate, whatever it is.
Yeah. And as I was showing you when we were just in Seville in south of Spain, we went to a backstreet flamenco bar, which was where the locals went.
Yeah.
You know, we had to pretend we weren't tourists so we'd get in. And it was so authentic.
Yeah.
What did you think of that footage?
Just amazing. I just love watching stuff like that. And, you know, even though you're watching it on a video, the passion, the feeling, just all of that stuff coming, and the coming together of the person playing the guitar live and then, you know, the individual dancers interacting with each other. It's just, I could just watch that forever.
Absolutely.
Just beautiful.
And that was without the alcohol.
That was it. Just imagine how good it would have been with a bit of extra.
Well, if we can find that dark alley, we'll get back there next time we're in Seville.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for coming along.
Thank you for having me.
It's it's just one of those juicy topics, and it's just so great to kind of, you know, dissect and get into it.
Yeah, it's been a great chat. Thank you for that.
Oh, well, I wish I had your dance. I have dance envy.
But remember, this is one thing is that I think that everyone can dance, right? Dance is for everyone, for all ages, all abilities. It doesn't need to be a trained thing. That's
true. It's connecting and moving your body, hey?
Yeah.
Enjoying music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you're just really fancy. And I admire that.
Thank you.
Demitri, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. And everyone, if you want to find me online, we've got the website kirstenhunterauthor.com, Facebook and Instagram, Kirsten Hunter Author, and Twitter, Kirsten Hunter AU, YouTube, Psych in Your Car, and here we are on Signpost, The Living with Dr. Kirsten Hunter. Demitri, I had so much fun.
So did I.
See ya. Bye.
Thanks.